Hi, my name is Akash, and I take the opportunity to present my final presentation for GSR 615. It's a consolidation of all the articles and the research papers that I've reviewed over the course of the semester. Let us delve into the 5 types of research that I've done. It's qualitative, quantitative, mixed methods of research, action research, and practitioner research. These are the 5 types that I've currently worked on, and all my topics are revolving under various different business topics. At the center of it is a business, but there is business model evaluation, marketing effectiveness, learning and development, ERP implementation, total quality management, and production. These are the 5 different topics that I've chosen to review over the course of the semester. Let's learn certain things that I think have appealed to me quite a lot. Under quantitative research, I worked on understanding and harnessing social media to generate new product development. What is crowdsourcing? Crowdsourcing is defined as the practice of obtaining information or input into a project. So once you define an objective, you got to recruit a bunch of people who are like-minded, who are potential users, who could be subject matter experts, to kind of battle it out to create the right kind of solution and provide it to you. Now, in terms of the process for it, the first step is to define the problem and tell your audience what is it that you're looking for. The second thing is to recruit a bunch of people, like I said, who are subject matter experts or potential users. The third step is to internally evaluate all the ideas that they have generated and try to reduce it to the best ideas, the top 3 ideas out there. Agree on the solution, implement it, reward the people who have been involved with it, and implement the solution at the end and see how it's working out for you. The reason why crowdsourcing of ideas really works well is because you're hearing to your customers as a business. You're asking your potential customers what is it that they really want. When they're coming out there and giving you all of these ideas, you need to know that as a business, you would be getting the right sort of ideas from these crowdsourcing people. And one of the couple of things that I learned while doing my research was that crowdsourcing fosters a high degree of interaction with the business, because you're talking back and forth in terms of ideas. Then this helps you to increase your loyalty towards by your customers towards you. It achieves multiple objectives. It's not just ideation. It helps you to market your products out there. It helps you to create new products. It helps in the overall brand engagement of your business. And last but not the least, it creates so many ideas that you can always go back in the past, in the future, and just pick up a couple of ideas that you think make sense now, right? It makes absolutely a lot of sense. Future research could be carried out to investigate the effectiveness of crowdsourcing across other industries. My research was mainly for the food segment. You got to also understand what is the impact, or what do people who are these respondents think about crowdsourcing as an activity, and where do you think they feel that they're adding a lot of value. Last but not the least, we can also investigate further on the impact of crowdsourcing on the other verticals that it impacts, like branding, customer perception, customer loyalty, new product development, and many more areas, since this affects you in a 360-degree sort of way. The next thing is quantitative research. I based it on virtual and traditional learning and its effectiveness in the medical field, because medicine is one of the hardest areas to kind of teach someone online, right? If it works there, it should ideally work for businesses to train their employees as well. Now, the recommendations that I have for practitioners is that the instructor and the training materials must be up to the highest standards. Otherwise, it's impossible for you to effectively teach your audience. The second thing that I found here is that there is no difference in terms of how knowledge is processed, both offline and online. Learning can only be done if you have the right tools. If you do not have the right tools, there is nothing that you can achieve through virtual learning. And one other thing that I found, which I cannot substantiate completely, is that the more the experience of the participants, the higher the chances of success of learning. And this is where future research can be focused on. You could always assess the role of the participant in this study and whether the participant affects the effectiveness of virtual learning. So this is a major focus of research that can be carried out further to understand how virtual learning can become more effective in nature. The second thing that I would like to point out is that the role of digital literacy to measure the effectiveness of the program is extremely important, because unless and until you're a high internet literacy or a medium internet literacy user, you might not be really able to make sense of how to use these tools or programs itself. So we need to really understand whether that plays a key role in measuring the effectiveness of digital or virtual learning. My next method of study was mixed method research. This was to create clusters of business models or digital business models based on three important factors. The first was how they remunerate themselves. The second thing is who are the audience who are there in it. And third is in terms of the kind of target audience that they're catering to. In all of these 6 clusters, there are 2 really important ones. The first one is marketplace for physical products like Amazon, Etsy, Flipkart, where you have sellers who are selling their products and you have buyers who wish to buy them from a centralized place. The second cluster that is very common that we can find is marketplace for peer-to-peer products, that is Airbnb, Uber, etc. In both of these models constitute of more than 60% of today's current businesses. What you can do using this data that I've researched on is that it can assist you as a manager to design, implement, and evaluate organizations. Or as a potential business owner or an entrepreneur, you can always rely on this to see where your idea fits. If it does in one of these clusters, then you will be able to see what works for them and what does not. And I think this helps every entrepreneur to kind of get the clarity that he or she needs. The other thing that I would like to mention in terms of future research is that the role of digital literacy is again extremely important here, because if you're not a high internet literacy seller or a buyer, then these platforms will not be able to cater to you. So while building a customer persona for every business owner, it's important to realize the role of digital literacy to measure the effectiveness in business models as well. Now, my action research was based on implementing quality processes. Quality improvement processes helps you to define the right kind of process to implement for manufacturing, to reduce scrap, to reduce wastage, to increase quality of the product. So it pretty much helps you to focus on your customer. Now, some of the recommendations that I have that I kind of found was that the size of the organization matters and the levels of management is important, along with the complexity of manufacturing. Let me tell you why I made that very point. While doing my research, I found out that larger organizations have a certain amount of process that is already set, which makes it easy to implement these TQM solutions. However, with small and medium ones, the amount of structure and process is definitely lesser, right? And what happens is that the people who are in it verbally communicate any sort of quality issues that arises, and putting a process there is just a burden for them, and they don't really care to follow the processes that have been laid out, which can negatively impact your business as a whole. So it's important for you to understand whether TQM processes are going to help you or deteriorate your business before implementing any of these. The other thing that to keep in mind is that there is a steep learning curve. While doing my research, I found that in the large organization, there was an increase in scrap for the first month while they implemented it. But from the second and the third and the fourth month, there was significantly higher reductions in terms of scrap that was being generated. Future research can be carried out to assess the true effectiveness of implementing TQM solutions in small and medium organizations. I think we really need to focus there because the larger ones have it all figured out. The smaller and the medium ones are the ones that really need these solutions. And future research can be carried out to measure what works and what does not. And I think that is the key to achieving total quality management across levels of organizations. The other thing that I also wish to tell you here is that the importance of training and its effects on successful implementations in larger organizations can give us the necessary information for us to process what worked there and what could be used in smaller and medium organizations to implement the same solutions, but make it more effective. My practitioner-based research is on critical success factors for ERP implementation. ERP is enterprise resource planning. What does this mean? It's a software or a piece of technology which helps you manage financials, production, marketing, purchases, human resource, which is pretty much encompasses the whole businesses. However, there are issues when it comes to implementing an ERP, and there is a process that people should keep in mind. As a future business owner or a current business owner, if you're watching this, the first step is discovery and planning. Understand what you really want. Select the system that works well for you. Step two is design all your requirements so that there is no confusions while you're developing these products. Step four is test the product in a virtual environment. See if it makes absolute sense. Is it working the way you want it to work? Or is there something different about it that's hindering your activity? Step five is to effectively train your employees, because for them, it's a new system. They don't really know what to do about it, right? So it's natural that you need to create a lot of content for these individuals to use, so that there is no confusions in what to do after one step after the other while they use the ERP. Some of the recommendations that I have for practitioners and research is that managers must be ready to rethink and adapt to new business practices, because these ERP systems are not built by an individual. They are built by taking into account hundreds and millions of companies together and their processes, and they've created the perfect mix from different companies to make it more effective. So it's always, I think, better to think whether are you the one who's right, or are those millions of others who are using these systems wrong? 99.9999% of the times, it's you as an individual or you as a company that might just be getting it wrong. So it's always better to adapt to the practice rather than to change it and drastically have new additions to the system. Be ready to invest in technology infrastructure, because technology invested today is an asset for tomorrow. Otherwise, as your competition is going to catch up and you're going to fall behind because you did not implement the right kind of technological softwares to kind of grow your business. The last thing that I would like to point out is that top management or stakeholders must be open to provide unconditional support, monetary as well as time. It might take a long time to implement these solutions. However, it's for the better of the future. And if they're impatient about these implementations, then it's going to go haphazard and probably even pull your entire business down. So with this, I rest my time. And I thank the professor for providing me the opportunity to learn about these various business verticals. I think it's given me a lot of value towards all the other business activities or work activities that I'm going to undertake, and the research processes have been a great help to me. So thank you and have a good day.